And this Boardroom Talk series brings to you the unheard boardroom stories where all the pillars of good governance, whether it is promoters, founders, independent directors, executive directors, women directors, or even the CEOs, CXOs, CFOs, company secretaries, play a crucial role, including the investor representatives who take the board seat. Now, let me also briefly introduce what is Mentor My Board. And Mentor My Board is, today a brand even finance minister of our country knows. Our consistent efforts of last 5 years have been a roller coaster, but a fulfilling ride. We launched various initiatives like Boardroom Mastery for promoter directors, Voom for women directors, women on management and boards, Ideal for independent directors. We believe in a continuous learning, and hence both Tattva series are well appreciated by our members and board aspirants. Blogs, videos, coffee meets are various initiatives what we keep doing. And do join the momentum of good governance with us by joining the platform of Mentor My Board. Now, in the pursuit of building better governed boards with effective directors, we strive to create a community of 100,000 directors and create the opportunities for the boards, for the board aspirants. Now, a platform of Mentor My Board is the enabler for us in this drive. And that's where we have created a lot of content on the platform. So last season, we did around 42 boardroom talks and with the eminent board leaders and who have been driving good governance. So let's start this fresh series with Shri Sanjay Jain, who is eminent personality and an institution in himself. So let me briefly introduce Sanjay Ji to all of us. Sanjay Ji is managing director of a company TT Ltd, which has 4 decades of existence. And Sanjay Ji is second generation entrepreneur, and now very proudly he is building the strong sustainable organization for the generations ahead. He is IIM Gold Medalist with 3 decades of experience, mentor himself, and proud to see him having such a varied experience and still such a humble attitude and always available for guidance, for advice for the budding entrepreneurs. He is the part of various committees of semi-government, government, chambers, associations, and Secretary of JITO Apex. Last but not the least, he is eminent advisory board member with Mentor My Board. Thank you, Sanjay Ji, for having you with us today on Sunday morning. And welcome to this Boardroom Talk series. And I really, also welcome to all the viewers who have joined with us on this Sunday morning. And let's make this Sunday enriching with the best wisdom from our eminent speaker today. So welcome Sanjay Ji to this Boardroom Talk series.
Thank you, Divya Ji. Thank you to Mentor My Board for this excellent initiative, and I would say continuous sustainable initiatives which you are taking to make the boardroom a much better and powerful place with having better directors. My compliments to you and the whole team, and keep doing this good work.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So without wasting, the time, let's get deep dive into your journey of boardrooms. So my first question to you will be, how do you differentiate your role as a director than so many roles differently you handle? So what has been your journey being a director? So maybe from, when you first enter the boardroom, if you can just go back to the past and, deep dive into that.
I think so. For executive directors, it is always a very difficult role to play, because even within the boardroom, we are wearing multiple hats, and there as a representation of the management. I'm on the other side supposed to be an unbiased strategic input person as a director, and anyone who's hands-on into a business needs to understand the role of a director is very different. You need to sort of separate yourself from the day-to-day work that you do as a management person, as an executive, and understand your role as a director, which is very different, because you talk at a different level, you're discussing at a different level. You're supposed to refrain from getting into the nitty-gritties and look at, as they call it, the macro picture, or we might say you need to ensure yourself you're pound wise and not get into the pennies, as the famous English saying goes. So you need to take off that hat before you enter the boardroom and say, no, now I'm a director. I'm supposed to be looking at micro level, getting strategic inputs, Of course, being an executive person, you are supposed to answer to the other board members, especially to independent directors, their queries. But again, at a very different level. So I think so. The level at which you are there needs to be understood and accordingly acted upon.
Super. So, in this journey of being a director, especially a promoter director, founder director of your own company, would you like to share, if you have taken some tough decision and you felt that the board collectively navigated through that situation? So, if you can probably throw some light
Yeah,
on,
as
some
a
decisions are
as,
taken by the board.
as a management director, I think so. It's a sort of a reality check when you're in a boardroom, because finally there's someone who's asking you something. Typically, as a managing director, I'm the guy who calls the shots. I'm the person who takes the decisions, and I'm the person who tells others you do this. Out here, you're on the reverse. People are telling you, questioning you. Uh, with a positive mind frame, of course, that look, you're supposed to, why did you do this? They're questioning your decisions, they're questioning your actions, and they're also telling you, that you should be looking at this, you should have done this. So that sort of, it's not an easy role. uh, but I think so it also is a test check, because these people who are on your board are not people who are, I'm talking mainly of the independent directors. They're not people who have actually, who are day to day. So they are unbiased. They are not subject to what we are subject every day. So they come with a very fresh mind. And I think
Right.
so that understanding, it's like having a consultant on board, but having people who are consultants, but who are part of you. They are only looking at what's good for you. They're not really looking from any objective which is monetary or getting them name or fame. I think so. It's a big plus plus. And typically in India, the role of boards has been undermined, excepting for listed companies. And
Right.
unfortunately, in our country, we are so much legislaturely driven, by law. You don't, if law is not forcing us, the board meetings only happen on paper. But I think so we forget an excellent opportunity where even your executive directors come together on a platform to
Absolutely.
discuss things. Otherwise, you really don't. Nowadays, I have started my company. We have every 15 fortnight, we have a 1 hour executive director meeting on Zoom, because obviously all of us are traveling. And if we keep looking for physical dates, they never actually happen and they get deferred. So we take up one evening from 5:30 till 7 o'clock, where we are just discussing, sharing, and having a candid discussion. So I would request everyone, irrespective of what is the size of your company, and board is just a word. Even if you're a partnership or a proprietorship firm, it's the core team. We should be sitting together without the nitty gritties, away from everything else, and having a candid, open discussion. We're doing this is happening. Someone is looking after finance, someone after marketing. But a director per se is a person who has more knowledge than just this function. He's a more 360-degree oriented person. That we
Absolutely.
look for directors who are not only, they may be subject domain experts, but they are much more than domain experts. They have those receptors to catch things from the environment, catch things from discussion, and react. So I think so. Let's not undermine it. Whether it's your own internal core team, who are we would call executive directors, or the independent directors. I would say even if you don't by law are required, you still, there's nothing to you from stopping you for having good people around you, as inviting them to the board and saying, please give me time once a quarter, 3 4 hours of your time. Let me tell you what I'm doing, and let me hear from you or what I think I can be doing, or where I'm wrong, or I'm not even looking at those things. Forget being
Right.
wrong or right. They have just been. So I think so. There's so much of learning. It's unfortunate in our country the role of a board has been undermined to this extent.
Yeah, I think so rightly highlighted, sir. And I mean, especially when we talk of the promoter companies, promoter driven companies, and I was going through a statistics where National Stock Exchange report, which it comes out and says uh, almost 95% of the businesses, including the listed company businesses, are family controlled. And in those kind of institutions, it really becomes very very important that you take out that special time to discuss the strategic part of it. Otherwise, it is, very, very operational kind of routine, which usually happens in a lot of businesses. And that really sets apart. And we also are propagating at Mentor My Board very strongly to create the advisory boards. And, I'll tell you, I mean, we are the biggest example of, a complete change in our thought process, the way, I mean, you all as advisory board members are guiding us. And I've seen so many companies which are, not the listed companies, but still they have a very formal board meeting. They kind of, have external people as professionals on their board. But I think the ratio is very, very minimal. And that's where, I mean, we have 95 or 96% of the companies as private limited companies. I mean, they're not listed. And when we really see the complete ecosystem, only 7 8,000 companies are listed on the exchange, but more than 7 crore businesses are registered under the SMEs and MSMEs. So I think that's where the good governance practices, starting from the, even the unlisted space, can help them when they are growing on the sustainable journey. Very, very nicely said, sir. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And I'll just like to add, Divyaji, I'll just like to add,
Yes, sir.
we typically unfortunately look at governance as a legal binding which is on our head. We look
Yeah,
at it as coming from external shareholders. I think so.
correct.
We forget governance really improves your own internal working. Uh, and for a promoter director, transparency, you are not going to be everywhere. So if you're going to have transparency, it's going to help you more than anyone outside because you're also a shareholder of your company. So
Correct.
we typically look at shareholders as external people. We forget that we are ourselves are the largest shareholders and we are going to gain if our company gains.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wonderful. And I think today the shareholder activism, the way it has been going on, especially the institutional investors coming in, even the HNI investors who are coming in, they are very, very vocal about good governance. And I was also recently looking at the governance failures in the startup ecosystem. So you have been mentoring a lot of startups. So if you have, any thoughts on the startups or some best practices which even startups can follow, that will really be an added advantage to our viewers.
You know, startups need to understand and recognize. It's true for, of course, everyone, but more for startups because most of those founders lack administrative experience. They are people with bright ideas, lot of passion, lot of fire, but they've never run a company. They don't know that apart from business is not just buying and selling. There's so much more plus to that, which these, whether you call them advisors, independent directors, nominated by investors, etc., etc. If we look at them as friends and advisors and guides, rather than an external factor who's there to catch you, this sort of not work, this belief or trust system lacks, creates a lot of issues. So I would strongly appeal to startups. Look at them, you're getting them almost free of cost. Many of them don't even charge sitting fees because they understand it's a startup. Imagine that wealth of experience, that domain experience, those connects and network, how much you can get just by plugging them in and having an open discussion. Again, repeating, board meetings are just not there to follow the MCA or SEBI guidelines. That's just one part of it. Look at it from a different perspective. You're going to gain. It's going to be help you in like multiplying whatever you're doing, because those unfortunately, I've written a book, so it comes back. The pinch of salt. We have everything, but that pinch of salt can actually make the worst, something which is amiss despite having everything perfect. And those guys, those mentors who come in for a short period of time, who are contributing, may look in terms of quantity very small, but their qualitative importance is very, very high. And startups need to realize that, and it also is the duty of these guides, advisors, independent directors to make startups. They are young professionals coming raw from college or institutions, comfortable and telling you, look, we're here to handle, don't worry. If you make a mistake, I'm not a whistleblower. I'm there to help you correct your mistakes and move on in a positive way.
Absolutely. In fact, sorry, I missed out mentioning that you are an author also, and a wonderful book, A Pinch of Salt, So that's something really, really wonderful. I mean, I would urge everyone to, read this book. Very short, crisp, but immense learnings out of the book. Thank you so much. Now, also, I mean, I know you have been, always saying that independent directors, can play a very, very important role. Have you ever considered being independent director, or are you independent director on some boards? Because a lot of
Uh,
promoters have that hesitation. नहीं नहीं मेरा business संभालने वही बहुत है.
No, no, I do a lot of mentoring and formal, informal, but I've never been on an independent as an independent director for two reasons. Uh, Being a promoter director, I have a lot of responsibilities. So if anything goes wrong in the company in which I'm an independent director, it could put my own company into risk. So I am answerable, obviously, first to my company before I'm answerable to anyone else. So that's why a lot of promoter directors stay away or shy away. But if there are companies who are very professionally run, or if there are companies who are looking to invite you as an advisory board member, which I think so is a concept which is coming in a big way, and I'm sure MMB will also be working on that, because there you don't have any legal compulsion. You're not going to get stuck if any mistake is made. Those are places where people like us wouldn't mind joining in. I think so by sharing and giving, you're actually also learning and getting back. So, and that will contribute. So that extra time, I never consider time given for mentoring, guiding, advisory as time spent. I always think it's something which I'm learning. It's my gain actually, because when you give, you're also getting a lot, because you're talking to someone. You're not talking to a wall or something. So it's always been there. Somehow, never the right opportunity which meets up or balance up has come up. But I'm sure going ahead, I would love to be an independent director or a member of advisory board of meaningful companies who are very genuine and are open, because a person like me is going to be asking a lot of questions. So if you want dummy directors, obviously people like us are not the right people.
Absolutely, absolutely. Wonderful. I think the perspective which you shared for promoter directors, that if they are independent directors on other boards and if something goes wrong, they have, their stake in their own companies at stake. I think this is a very, very, kind of important statement coming, from a promoter director. And I think that is the reason. And when even I look at independent directors, definitely professionals do play a very important role. But I feel the promoters who have seen the businesses in and out, and if they go and kind of be independent directors and ask meaningful questions to those promoters, probably that will kind of take one level of governance above. So thank you so
Definitely,
much
a
for
person
this.
who's gone through Divya Jain, in fact, I would request MMB to take up this. We need to more legally, more sharply define the roles and responsibilities and the obligations of an independent director. He shouldn't be, if a check bounces, why should a notice come to an independent director? Is his job to see
Right.
whether there was balance before giving the check? So I think so. If there's a pollution problem, is it his job to go into the factory and see that whether the factory has maintained all pollution? Or we, as an ID, my job is to believe the management with due. So I think so if MMB can do this, this will be a great opening for getting more quality ID into the system.
Absolutely. This is really wonderful, and thank you for navigating us to that direction. So my next question will be, what, according to you, are the three best practices every boardroom must possess and follow?
uh, Allow everyone to speak openly, fair and free. It should be more in a discussion mode, candid, and not be that, look, let's go through the motions. And this guy is asking, speaking too much. He better be quiet. We keep that sort of an environment, an open environment, not just for namesake, but actually follow it in practice.
Absolutely.
Secondly, because board meetings are very time bound, uh, the agenda papers, the way of presentation should be very crisp, pointing out to the right things. Like if you have an internal audit report in your audit committee, you should have an executive summary. You should have a very clear ATR, action time report plan. Okay, what was there, which were the points which were flagged off from the previous meeting, what is the action taken. So we need to presentations to be very crisp, unless we'll be just discussing and miss out the important points. So these, and if I have to add a third one, I would say don't make those meetings too long. Maybe you need to break them up. And today, with the Zoom world being there at our doorsteps, or the online world, uh, you don't necessarily have to have a whole day meeting where everyone is present, and after some time fatigue sets in, and people are just looking at their watch, or looking when does lunchtime happen, or when does tea happen, or when does I catch my flight back home. And then actually the quality of discussion in the second half of the duration of our committee meetings and board meetings, because we have so many committee meetings nowadays, especially in listed companies, uh, would reduce the quality. I think so. These three factors should be kept in mind by every whenever we are having the company secretaries who organize the board meetings.
This is really wonderful. I mean, great insights on the best three practices. So also now, how do you, because you have been observing our journey of Mentor My Board for last, I think, almost 2.5 years, and being the advisory board member with us for last almost a year now. So how do you see our role in building better governed corporates? And I mean, you have already given us one suggestion, but then how do you see the role, and probably some kind of suggestion or inputs to us?
One thing, I've already given you one suggestion: pick up the pain points in the system and act as a very in a very proper fashion. Try to pick it up with the necessary authorities, create a relationship with whether it's SEBI, MCA, and other related bodies, where a very objective and unbiased and a very practical approach. Typically we are never practical in our approach. We just see one thing sitting outside that, this should happen. It's always nice to say, we should be perfect, but we, in this world, we all are imperfectly perfect at the best. So let's
Absolutely.
understand that. Let's be objective and practical, and then come up with really good suggestions, which you'll be welcome both by the executive portion of the board and the independent portion also. That's the way it should be balanced. uh, Secondly, I think so, when it comes to training directors, I think so, very long courses typically at a director level you don't want to attend. Somehow once you become a director, you feel you're at the apex, you're the guru, you're the advisor. Why do I need to be trained? I train people. I am right at the top. So this sort of of course there are some serious people who are trying to get as independent, but most people are shunning, or they don't focus on it, and I can understand. You need such crisp sessions, crisp comments coming up, like taking it drop by drop rather than drowning in the whole say, boss, you've got enough water. I hope you've understood everything. So create
Yeah.
that sort of drop by point, because understand who are you putting those drops on. They are very
Correct.
accomplished people. Otherwise, they won't be a director. So work around that. Thirdly, a very important thing is to be a one-stop solution for everything around it. It's like we say a 360-degree solution. There are many people who are looking. You can create a sort of matching board where you have people who want to be independent directors with various skill sets, and you have people who are looking for independent directors with a certain skill sets. And when you're hiring, or sorry, you're appointing a ID, one thing which companies always see, you're not only going by the CV, you're
Yeah.
looking into the softer portion of that person.
Person. Absolutely.
Uh, so that's something which you need to bring out, which comes out with where the person has been, what sort of person is he, those sort of matching. Typically, we'll think you match what has been his background, 20 years of experience, where has been there, he seems good, he'll contribute. But, it's not just the theoretical contribution or the intellectual contribution. You're bringing a person as a person. So
Yeah.
try to see how you can match those, and that's going to take you to the next level in getting better people. And I think so, more important than independent directors, try to also work on providing good people for advisory boards. I think so, work on this concept of advisory board, because independent directors or advisors are not just there to be watchdogs. Somehow,
Correct.
unfortunately, we have tagged them as watchdogs. By
Yeah.
you see what's happening there and you catch them and bring them out to public. We
True.
are not only whistleblowers. We are there to create wealth. We are there to create a foundation on base on which the tree of prosperity, wealth, sustainability will grow, and bring out those finer points which a director needs to start making boards who are every day so much entangled in, from where I'm going to get money, where I'm going to get sales. Can you bring out the low hanging fruits?
Yeah.
We never focus on low hanging fruits, unfortunately.
True.
I think that's
True.
a
True.
very important concept. Can you sort of flag off issues and make them start thinking? Like, I'll give you an example: sustainability, circularity. Without costing money, also, there's so many things we can do. Even as a
Absolutely.
director, if you go and someone offers you tea, snacks, can we make small pointers? By can't we do it better? By why are we throwing this in the dustbin? Like I'd gone to Europe just now, and I was invited to work on sustainability and understand between Denmark and India. And a very simple thing, when we were sitting, someone said, instead of a coffee, if you have an ice cream, you also eat the cone. So there's now no waste generated out of this.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely.
you go to an office and or a factory, and you see a lot of grass. Do you need a grass mower, or can you have goats and cows who eat that grass and still keep? Nature has always kept animals to keep them,
Correct.
level rather than having mechanics. So these are small things which we can always build in,
Absolutely.
sustainability, how to save costs, small things you learn from one company, you tell the other the best practices. We may not share
Correct.
business secrets, but I can always share best practices.
Best
Today is
practices.
the world
Absolutely.
of collaboration, cooperation rather than competition. Let's remember that by sharing that one good, you're adding. There are going to be multiple goods, because when you tell one person something nice, he tells another six people, another 10 people. That's how the tree
Absolutely.
grows. That's how the branches of goodness will grow. So let's work on that. Cultivate those small things within the directors. Keep telling us, create a community on LinkedIn, and keep sharing those small pearls of wisdom, maybe once a week or once a day, whatever works out, depending on how many pearls you can get. Let us all start thinking, and that's the first step of becoming better people, better directors, better companies,
Amazing.
and obviously
Amazing.
creating a better
What
nation.
wonderful. Wonderful thoughts, sir. Thank you so much. And in fact, all the golden nuggets what you have shared for us, we to some extent have already started working on it. To some extent, we want to really do that. But again, the constraints or the time or the people, the team, we are also growing. And I'm sure, in fact, let me tell you, the placement part, the opportunity creation part has already started on the platform.
Yes.
We are creating opportunities for the independent directors, even the executive positions at the board level on the platform, and using a lot of AI, artificial intelligence, the tools, and also the rating metrics for directors, for corporates, and creating a complete growth journeys for directors through a learning and development culture building up at the board level. So a lot of things are there on the platform, and again, it's a growing platform. So I think these all suggestions will make us also the stronger and create better impact for the directors. Now this, because we are coming at 11:30, we are reaching out. So my last question to you will be, what one advice you would like to give to the aspiring promoter directors who aim to get their companies listed on the exchange, or if they are already listed? So and even to the startup directors.
Don't get hassled and harassed by the various regulations. I know it's a big impediment to get yourself listed, because
Yes.
you're going to have a lot of other costs being added. But also, please realize there's always a give and take. You are also unlocking value. As soon as you get listed, you're having people value you not only for what you're today, for what you're going to be tomorrow. your future cash flows are getting discounted to show your value. You typically think
Absolutely.
your value is just the assets you have. But today is not the world of assets. Most of the richest people are not people who have got, property and gold. They're people who have created organizations who have that sustainability and capability to be in the business and generate cash flows year after year on a consistent basis. So let the world recognize, let the world say, hey, man, you're worth 500 crores, though you may have assets worth 100 crores. That's what happens when you get yourself listed. And believe me, it's a phenomenal feeling when you have people all around telling you, oh my, look, what you have done, and we are part of your journey. You have created
Absolutely.
it. I had a small portion of money, but always remember, listing is a long journey. Don't make it a short term route to make a quick buck, because that never goes well. No one may come and tell you, but kahin na kahin, if I allow me, किसी की आह लगती है आपको. So be honest, be consistent, look medium and long run. It may be delayed, but good work is always going to be rewarded to you. So never get frustrated if your share stocks prices are not moving. It's part. Go for it. Go plan and understand you're going to have a lot of outside people looking. Be ready for it.
Absolutely. Amazing, amazing insights and suggestions. And I think, I have been speaking to a lot of people, and I see, the people coming out and getting their companies listed is a very, very minimal. And that's how we see the huge gap between the businesses and the companies which have got listed. So, but these I think learnings, especially when we talk of from the wealth creation perspective, also the sustainable business for generations ahead. I think that the legacy, how it gets created, it's definitely, the way we have seen the big businesses today, they've not gone big only by remain unlisted. They've gone big when they went listed, when they got public, and the visibility which they get by getting listed is huge. But at the same time, the mindset of the promoters to focus on business and not on the valuation is very, very critical. And thank you so much for sharing your insights on that.
My
So,
pleasure, Divyaji. Once a while, all the best. I really appreciate the good work being done by MMB. I have been a witness of it, and I'm sure more and more people are going to be joining this platform. The ecosystem only gets as better as the number of people who are part of it.
absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Sanjay ji, for your time today, Sunday morning. There are so many suggestions, so many, best wishes coming in, so many even thoughts coming in, reciprocating what you have mentioned. So, thank you everyone for being here with us Sunday morning and joining this deep conversations on good governance. And also, every Sunday, 11 o'clock, we will be going live with eminent personalities from the boardroom. So if you feel you have lots to add on to the value, so please, ping us, and we will be reaching out to you to take your insights on good governance practices. So thank you everyone for joining Sunday morning. And most importantly, thank you, Sanjay ji, for taking out time for us and joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you
Always
so
a
much.
pleasure. Thank you.